I think I'm gonna get into more of the same programming I was doing before. Before I start that though, I'm just looking at my other screen here, and it does look like things are streaming, which is a good thing. Let's see here. Yeah, I do have audio as well, so that's good. And oh, I'm also going to actually I'm just sending myself a message. I want to see if it actually shows up on this other little thing here, because I'm wondering if I'm doing this right. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, it's on there. It's just, I guess, delayed from other things, but that's fine. That's no problem. All right. As you might be able to tell, I'm learning a lot of this as I go. I'm really excited about that, actually. Like, I love, oh boy. I really love the idea of streaming, and it's just fun to start learning new things. So I'm just talking to myself about the chat though, that's all. So whatever. Enough of that. Let's pop on the proper scene here, and we'll get some things going. Let me close this because that's confusing. Oh, shoot. I did the wrong thing. Let's see. So I have my code that I'm working on here with polygon and extrude functions that last time I realized I had to work a little more on edges and faces and that kind of thing. So I'm going to do that today. I have my notes for future self here. That's just obviously really useful to refer back to. Oh boy. Give me 1 second. My windows are showing me stuff that I don't want to. Let's see what's happening. Sorry, I don't I don't totally know what I'm doing yet. Let me see this in a proper window. Preferences. Boy, oh boy. Okay, leave that alone. Okay. I'm just overreacting a little bit. There's nothing wrong here. Just my chat on OBS, there was the settings window popping out. I'm not running on like the most high-end computer, my stream, so the window itself was just lagging a bit, so there's nothing wrong. What I am trying to do now, tile this window with this. There we go. So I have to start the live server again. Just have that run. All right, so I'm working on this standing point desk design, and I'm in the process of making an extrude function, which I don't know, why did I write that in here? I don't... I'll just delete that actually, because I don't need it. Because I'm actually working on the extrude function here in Emacs. These are the sets of functions. Gotta put on my glasses. Last time I made an extremely simplistic, if I do extrude point and I give it a point in 2D space, is it, oh, it's height and then point. Let's say I extrude the point to a height of 20 from the XY1, 1. That's going to turn into, it's just going to spit out 2 points at 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1, 20. Because when you extrude a point, if you consider that a valid operation that you can do, you turn a point, you extrude it, it turns into a line. Like if you're making like a spaghetti noodle or something, right? You push it through an extruder and it creates a line of spaghetti. But in this case, it's just geometric objects. So that works when I run this extrude function on a polygon, because I made a polygon shape. What did I call? I forget. ASDF. This isn't a complete object because it only has nodes. It doesn't have edges or faces to it. So I had something else. I forget what I called it yesterday. I left my instance of Clojure running. So polygon 2D. Oh, that's right. So I went like this. Polygon 2D of points produces a polygon with these points. So this ASDF is meaningless now, actually. I'm just so there's a better way to like what's it called, undefine a variable or whatever, but I forget how to do that. Or unbind. Is that a thing? Drop? No, drop's different. Remove. Rem. Remove. Does remove do what I think it does? Predicate collection. No, that works on collections. Binding. It doesn't matter. I'm sidetracking myself. Okay, so actually I'll just def ASDF as polygon 2D of points. So now ASDF is the object I want to test with. So now if ASDF is a 2D thing, right? See, it has only XY coordinates in here. If I pass that through an extrude, this extrude function right now, it's not complete, but it gives a result. If I extrude it, oh, wrong number of arguments, of course, because I have to extrude it by a height. All it does here, you see there's double the amount of points, but they're all 3D points now. But they're like interleaved. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 20, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 20. That's, it's taken the sketch and then at every point it's extruded every single point upward directly, which is fine, but that's not what I want to do. That makes these edges invalid, right? 0 to 1. The edge from point 0 index to point 1 index goes, in this case, from 0, 0, 0 to 0, 0, 20. But in the original 2D shape, the edge 0 to 1 goes from 0, 0 to 1, 0. So this order of nodes invalidates this definition of these edges. So I don't know if this is a smart data structure. This is something probably I'll want to rework on as I go, but this is the thing that came to my mind first, so I'm writing it this way. But it does mean what I have to do instead is change how the extrude function actually works. Extrude point doesn't actually make much sense. Instead, I'm going to do something like this, 2D into 3D of, yeah, there's probably a better name for that, but it's going to take a single point, and then all it's going to do, no, it's going to point and Z. Does that make sense? I'll make the function, then I'll think about whether or not it actually is useful. So what I'm doing is actually just, if I take a point and I want to make it 3D, that's all that's happening. It's just this conj. So maybe this is silly to make a whole new function name, because I can just use conj with something like conj x, y, z, right? And then actually, yeah. Right, I can make that a lambda. Okay. I think I'm onto something a little bit here. So the first extrude, the first thing to do, the first thing I'm going to solve is, instead of having these points interleaved like this, I want to have the first set of points be the 0, 0, 0 points, and then the second set just appended onto the end of that list be the ones extruded at the height that they're at. So what I'm going to do with that is just rewrite this function, because it's not what I need anymore. So let nodes be the map, the values from nodes of the sketch, which is the same. And then this is, I don't need this anymore. In fact, this whole function is probably not needed, so let me just comment it out. Save this for a moment. Okay. I'm a little more tired today, so I wonder if I'm just kind of thinking through things a little more slowly. Sometimes that's okay. That's just kind of got to work with the state your brain is in, rather than trying to force your brain to be in the state you hope it's in. I don't know if that makes any sense. But today I'm drinking a bit of coffee. That's okay. Okay, so I don't need this, right? So I'm actually not, so the first thing I'm going to do with our nodes here, I forget why I called it our nodes. It's like nodes new, but I'll just leave the naming the same for now. One thing that I love Clojure and writing in Lisp languages, but one thing I think I'm getting worse at is like good naming of variables and stuff like that, or symbols in this case, because you can use local let bindings, and then you can you're tempted to be very terse. So like instead of calling it nodes, you almost want to call it n and then rn, because you can see like the local scope always stays really close. So you almost don't need full long names, and it's annoying to type long names. But sometimes I wonder if being terse like that is more confusing than helpful. Naming things is way harder than I ever thought it would be, but it always is. It doesn't matter though. For right now, I'm going to leave it like this because I can refactor and write better documentation as I go. This is just the first iteration of this whole set of things anyway. But here I can actually conj, like I wrote in this comment right above it here. I can conj wait a second. Let me see. Map val over the nodes of ASDF gives me a list of points. Yeah, so I actually want, the function that works on the single point is going to be conj the point, and for this case I want to conj 0 onto it, right? Which will look like this. Conj 1 1, or in the conj 0 0, right? 0 should give me a vector with 3 zeros in it, which is exactly right. And since it's the z value, it has to put it on the end here, which is correct, so that's working. But this is a list of points, not a single point, so I have to map it and turn this conj into a lambda function, which has this short syntax here. And basically what this means is run conj where the entry from the list goes into here. So a list of nodes, every single node gets passed into here and gets conjed with the 0 on it, like the function asks for. And I don't even need map v. I think I just need map, because that's fine. So this function's not done, but if I define it and I extrude, let me clear this REPL. So if I just print out ASDF, this is the 2D shape, right? It just has these 5 points. The extrude function, as I've written it, should currently just add zeros onto the ends of all these vectors, but otherwise do nothing. Oh, I broke it. Oh, that's right, because the I haven't changed the signature here. It still has a height value, so it still expects me to put something there, even though it's not being used. But I'll get to that in a moment. So like I said, see, it's the same. It just has the 0 value tacked onto the end there. And that's exactly what I was going for. So now, the next thing I want to do is, since it's an extrude function, there's actually going to be another set of these points just at a translated z height. And that z height is, in fact, going to be this height here. So actually, I'm going to rename this. There's going to be nodes, there's going to be bottom, bottom nodes and top nodes, and it's actually going to be almost exactly the same function here. Conj percent, but instead of 0 it's percent height nodes, right? So because it's the same list, it's just 2 different heights here, and that means our nodes is actually, what if you well, let's find out. Concatenate the 2 lists together, bottom, top. Let's see, that should be fine. Let's find out. Yeah, okay. So I have the first 5 points here, right? They're all in the same order with 0, 0, 0, all that stuff. And then these are here with that correct order. And now I just realized I can't remember if map will respect the order once it gets large. I think it will. Mess with order of lists when they become larger. So the reason I'm wondering that is I don't remember. Clojure has different semantics for different things, like it has sequences and it's a really, I just forget. I think it might actually be that you can't rely on, so you can rely on a list to maintain its order, but you can't rely on a map like this to maintain order of its keys, because technically a map, you're not supposed to rely on the order of the keys anyway. You're supposed to rely on the keys to get the values of your data. And I think it will appear to maintain sequence like up to 10 entries or something, but past that it can break the order, and that's related to how Clojure like chunks things up into memory or something like that. I'm not an expert, but I just want to make sure that this won't break orders. But the best way to find that out actually is to just render an object, and if it goes all screwy, then I'll know. So for right now, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I think the simple change would be map v, because map v is put all of the, oh, I'm editing the wrong function. Map v, instead of map, puts things into a vector and not into a list or a sequence, whatever the right way to talk about it is. So map plus 1, 2, 3 with 3, 2, 1 gives you 4, 4, 4 in just regular parentheses, which means it's a list or a sequence. List, sequence, seq. Yeah, so map returns a sequence, not a list. I was mistaken there. But map v returns, it's in the square brackets, which means it's a vector. Vec? Is that the right vector? Yeah. Oh. A little glitch there. Let's see here. Map v, yeah. Oops. Vector of that whole thing. Yeah, true. So map v just puts it in a vector, and a vector and a sequence are different because a vector, it realizes all of the values in it at once, but a sequence, it only realizes the values of things, or it only uses them or loads them, whatever you want to say, when they're needed. Like, so you can have infinitely long sequences, but you cannot have infinitely long vectors, because you'll overflow your memory with an infinite vector. But an infinite sequence, you can just take a few at a time. So if I repeat 1, so it just is, it's an infinite thing. How do I stop it? There we go. Oh, there we go. So take 4 of repeat it gives me a sequence of just 4, but if I take 5, right, it gives me 5. But if I do last, that shouldn't work. Oh, it's gonna give me a weird, crazy error eventually. I'm surprised that didn't error out right away, but it doesn't matter. It was gonna, because it's an infinitely long sequence, it cannot find the last element in an infinite sequence. So it would either time out or give me an overflow of some kind. So that's a long tangent where I think if I'm worried that this map and this map are going to mess with the order of the vertices, the nodes, I can do map V so that they're realized up front and then the order won't change. But I'm not going to worry about that. I don't think I need to. So to put myself back on track, where was I? Okay, extrude ASDF. I keep forgetting to put the height in there. 20. Alright, so we have the first part of this function working the way we want it to. The first set of points is in the same position they were last time, so these edges are still valid. Now, the next thing to do, the next thing for me to worry about is, so this is all the points, all the nodes. What I need now is the next set of edges, which is going to be different than these 4. There's going to be 4 more, and then after that there's going to be, so the amount of edges is going to be 2 times the amount of original edges plus the amount of original nodes. So in this, that means, that's because there's the edges that make the bottom face, there will be that same number of edges that make the top face, and then there will be edges that connect every node to its new node, like its node above it. So it'll be 2n plus 2e plus n or plus half n if you're counting n as half the, whatever, it doesn't matter. So the first thing I want to do is create the set of edges for the second set of vertices. So that is going to be something like let's do n edges is going to be count of edges of the sketch. So that's before there's a change, right? So that'll give me 4 in this case, right? So count of edges of ASDF 4, yeah, right? So that means the first set of edges is already done, and it has the shape of partition to 1 of range of count, right? 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3. 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. Oh, it I have to increment this by 1. Yeah, so that's the shape of that, right? But that's for the original set of edges which already exists. I don't need to do that again. I need another set that goes from point, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. So I can do the same thing here, but the range is going to be from range has the signature start end. So the start is going to be count plus 1, right? Which actually, here. So the range is from count plus 1, here, inc count, so that'll be 5, up to that count, up to the number of edges plus itself, right? I'm confusing myself right now. Let me make this just a little, let me not do it out on the REPL this time because that's annoying to type out. So the number of edges, right, is count edges to sketch. So that'll give me 4, and then the range, oh, I'm doing something wrong here. Missed a bracket or a paren. Instead of that, 1 second here. Things look okay, yeah. Yeah, so number of edges and what am I trying to do? Yeah. So it's actually similar to this function here, or this snippet, right? So n edges, I'm going to change to ne, number of edges, allows the sorry, I'm going to change the names here. Bottom nodes, top nodes, X nodes for transformed nodes, concat B nodes to T nodes. NE is number of edges. Bottom edges, I'm going to have first, that's just going to be, well, top edges, bottom edges is going to be the same idea, map val onto edges of the sketch, right? Top edges is this whole transform thing that I'm working on. Oop. But trying to make this window a bit, I love Emacs, but there's some things I don't love about it. Okay, right, back to this. Map vector onto the partition of this, where instead of range going from count points, it's going to be from increment, so you count up by 1 of n edges, right? To, so range 5 to 5 plus 4 would be 9. Gives me 5, 6, 7, 8. Does that make sense? That's my question to myself. 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. It has to be to 9, right? I have to have, because there's a total of 10 nodes here, so it has to be like that. So it has to be, n edges. Man, this can look a little messy sometimes when it turns into a long thing like that. I don't love that either. Well, we'll do is this right? 2 times the increment of n edges. Boy, okay, there might be a way to clean that up. Let's see. Oop. R nodes is right. X nodes. X nodes. Oh, I also then need to thread this, this here, thread into assoc nodes, yeah, and then so I'm doing the nodes and then I'm doing the edges, x edges. Let me see here. Boy, oh boy, that's a long one. Maybe there's something nicer way to write that. X edges is concatenate bottom edges to top edges. Bedges and tedges. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. And then threading macro, let's see. Oh, I'm writing things in the wrong order here. There we go. The threading macro is really cool. I like it a lot. Maybe I'll explain it in a moment, but I want to see if this did what I wanted it to. Extrude ASDF. Wrong. Ugh, I always am doing that. I just am like, you know how much I want to extrude it by. Okay, so the number of nodes is correct. 5 at the bottom, 5 at the top. The number of edges is not yet correct, but there's 4 that link the first 5 nodes at the bottom, and then there's 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, which will be 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9. So that's correct. Now the last set of edges is still not done. I have to do what I'm going to call them medges, middle edges, and that has to be that is going to be 0 to 5, 1 to 6, right? Yeah. 2 to 7, 3 to 8, etc. So I might actually do something like this, where I do bottom indices. How do I, bottom indices and then top indices, right? Because bottom indices I can do nice and simple, partition to 1, map the vector function onto partition of 2 to 1 of range of increment n edges, right? So that gives me just a vector that's 0 to 4 in this case. And then the top ones will be this thing here, actually. So I could take that whole thing away. Nope, I'm doing something wrong. I don't need to do the partition here. I just need this range, right? And then this one is going to be range of from increment of n edges to this 2 times increment of n edges. That gives me that range. So then instead of this whole mess here, I can partition top indices, and it looks a little cleaner. And then the bottom indices and top indices are what I need to interleave. Interleave 1, 1, 1 and 2, 2, 2. Does that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Right. So then the middle edge, middle edges are actually the map vec of partition to 1 of interleave, bottom indices and top indices. Does that make sense? Maybe it does. Let's see. Extrude, ASDF, 20. All right, so we have edges that go from the first 4 correct, the next 4 look correct as well, and then the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9. That's the wrong number. There should only be 5, right? 0 to 5, 5 to, oh, right. Partition 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Partition, I stepped this by 1, but that's wrong. I need to do that. Control C and B. Okay, now let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? Looks right. 0 to 5, 1 to 6, 2 to 7, 3 to 8, 4 to 9. Okay, that looks correct. And the faces is wrong because there's only one face. But boy, oh boy, this function is big. I think I should rework it maybe later. So I've got the nodes stuff is all there. Edges is all here. And then faces is going to be actually kind of harder than I thought. Well, let's start with the absolute simplest. Beef bottom faces is map val nodes sketch. Find more efficient way to destructure my my 3D object map. Find out if the data structure for 3D objects is even a good one. Example, is it even smart to store edges as indices into the nodes? Is there a more compact, direct storage approach that is easy to work with? I don't know the answers to these questions, but these seem important. I'm just writing notes to myself about this here. I don't know if this structure makes sense. In particular, that I'm messing with indices seems like it can work, but I don't know that it's the smartest because I might be manually tracking things that I like, pushing things around that I don't want to do because it's too easy for these to change order without also changing the index here, and that would make it wrong. So might be something I need to look into. Bottom faces is the same, there's no change. Top faces is actually going to be just vec top indices, right? So imagine that the top indices is 5 to 10, right? 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. Wait a second. This is wrong, actually. This, in the polygon generation here, actually has to be the range from the increment. I forgot to put that in there yesterday. So now I need to def ASDF of polygon 2D of points. ASDF now has face, there we go, that's right. So bottom faces has no change, top faces is the vector of the top index. So if I vec range 5 to 10, that will be the top face. Yeah, nice and easy. And then the middle faces are more complicated, and I'm gonna not do that right now because I want to make sure this will actually render into something. Edges, faces, map v entity, x faces, which x faces should be concat b faces t faces. Nice and simple. There. Save that. And now let's see if we can make it work by making a little figure here. Work in progress, extrude function, extrude. So map, draw edges onto the axes, and instead of tabletop here, we're gonna let's see, points, def points as this value, and def ASDF my shape as polygon 2D of points. So that should, my sketch, not shape. So extrude, move axes here, extrude my sketch 20. And now, the moment of truth. What will break? That is the question. It built. Right, inspect. We getting an error? Yeah, expecting. Did I miss one of these? What have I done? Oh, didn't provide an opening tag. Is that right? Well, there's errors. That's kind of expected that. Namespace stylo.builder. Okay, let's do markdown to page of slurp standing point, nope, standing dash point dot md. Silly errors. Let's do it this way. Just get rid of that. Just do it in one. Try that. Hey, it built. Hey, okay. I think it worked. That. Let's make the scale. Well, it's only extruded 5, and let's make the scale 20. Wait, is that the scale? Nope, that's the move. Let's make the scale doubled. Oh, right, these would have to be half of this, so 14, 6 ish. Okay, so we almost have something here. Let's zoom in on this. Nope, I'm zooming the wrong way. One nice thing about SVG is like you zoom in and it looks nice and crisp still. Okay, there's an edge missing here for some reason. I wonder what happens if I just add a point here. First of all, 0, 0 to 0, 1, I want it to be 0 to 0.52. -2. Okay, so I have just this point here missing, right? Is that, or the edge from there to there missing, is that right? Let's see. Man, the isometric projection can really confuse you. In future, I want a canvas version of this where you can live rotate things so that you can understand things a little better or a little more efficiently in your own head. 1.5, just moving things around just to get an idea. Oh, it's missing on the bottom as well. Oh. Of course. So the shape is open. I haven't closed the shape. It's, of course it's not going to have that. The edges are not correct yet. Right? I need to do Take 2 of partition cycle. cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, take 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, take 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. So the problem is I am missing one edge in every, like on the bottom face and the top face. I'm starting at the first node, going around and ending at the last node, but I need to also connect the last node to the first node, and I missed that. So I'm just trying to think about the appropriate way to add that onto here. Bottom indices. Oh boy. Does this work? First, last, okay. I can always cheat the bottom indices, right? So if I conj range 5, 0, oh, conj 0, range 5, come on, conj 0, range 5, no? What am I supposed to do? I can kind of cheese it a little bit by doing something like this, right? Which, I will do that. Concat onto this 0, then concat onto this. Ink and edges. Yeah, that'll work, I think. Oh, I'm in the wrong namespace. Namespace stylo dot chunk. Update this, save this. Boy, oh boy. See, this function, is it the smartest way to do this? I really don't think so. Part of me is wondering if I have to update the nodes in one function and then update the edges in a function and then update the faces in a function and then make the final function just call those three, so that it's not all of this wrapped up into a single function. But split extrude into functions that transform the nodes, edges, and faces separately. Does that make sense? Is there a way to make it, to make the structure, make the transform flow more generic? higher order functions. I have no idea. I'll have to look. See, because the actual function here, it's just associating all of these things in, which, by the way, probably there's even a better way to do this than the thread macro. Let's see if it works though. Save this. So we should see this fill in here and at the bottom as well. Does at the top. What did I miss at the bottom? I'm thinking right now through why. So it works on the top here, but why does it not work on the bottom? It should. Let's see what the data looks like. Okay, edges are fine, or nodes are fine. Edges 0 to 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. Good. Bottom face. No. Missing. I'm missing. There should be one more edge here that goes from 4 to 0. Now on the top face I have 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, and then 9, 5, which is what I wanted. But oh. I don't know why this didn't work, because it should. There's also one other little problem here, right? So I have a duplicate edge here and here, 0 and 5. They are duplicated. Oh. It's because bottom edges is actually not generated in the extrude function. Of course, it's generated in the polygon itself, which is going to be incorrect because I haven't changed it there yet. So I'm going to go ahead and change that now. All right. This polygon function incorrectly. Oh boy, oh boy. So what did? So the bottom indices, I got to get back to that. Yeah, okay, I'll fix this problem. Attempt to. Okay. We are, for edges here, map entity onto edges, that's fine. But here, I need to add onto the back of this range a 0. So I need to do the concat thing here. Concatenate onto the end of this range a 0, and now that should work. So def ASDF as the polygon 2D of points. ASDF looks, extrude ASDF by 20. And now we've got this whole long mess. It's a chunk of data. Right, so the nodes are fine. Edges, 0 to 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 0. That looks correct. 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 6. That looks correct. 0, 6, 0, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's now incorrect, right? So if I save this, it's probably gonna, all the vertical lines I think are gonna be offset by 1, which is wrong. Right? Did it break? I broke something. Control C, MB. Let's go into namespace, the builder. Let's go find that. Okay, null. I have messed something up, that's for sure. Draw edges. Nope, I'm in the wrong namespace again. Namespace stylo.chunk. Let's try draw edges of ASDF. This should give me an error. Yeah, okay. So something's wrong. Okay. Draw edges of extrude of ASDF by 20. Okay. Null. And the reason for that is I think probably there's an edge that points to a node that does not exist. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we see here, for example, 10 and 11, and those are invalid indices on the list of nodes. Let me close that. Now, why might that be? Why have I created a mistake? Well, now, actually, this number of edges, actually, I don't need to increment it anymore, right? Let's see if that'll, because the number of edges now, before I was assuming incorrectly that it was equal to the number of nodes, but it's not. It's supposed to be one more than the number of nodes. So let's see if that changes, if that will actually solve the problem I have. I might be trucking along a little too fast and causing more problems for myself. We'll find out. Right, count the edges, concatenate onto the number, the range of number of edges, 0, yeah. Concatenate this range, concatenate range, number of edges, up to 2 times the number of edges. that. Yeah, there we go. Map that, map that, map this, edges, do. There we go. It's theoretically valid. Will it work? It built. Yeah, that's right. Okay, see that? So now actually the edges are showing up. Yes. I'll take that as a little win. I wonder if there's a cooler shape I can make. This test shape doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's actually just get rid of this point. We don't need it. Let's do just a triangle. So we're just gonna do 0, 0 to 20, 0, right? And 15, 10, 20, 10. See what that looks like. See if it's still valid. I think it should be fine. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Let's bring the scale back down. 28.25, I think is where I had it at. Yep. Let's move this zoom back out. Yeah, okay. So now I have a kind of working extrude function. I mean, if I change this to draw faces, it should give me weird. I think it should give me the top and bottom face, but not the side faces, because I haven't put the side faces in yet. Is it gonna work? Maybe it errored. Yeah. Right, so actually, let me see. I should probably, at the very least, make sure that draw faces doesn't error out, so I will change namespace stylo.builder. I kind of wonder how other Clojure developers like hop between namespaces. I don't know if this is like the intended, like the correct way to do it, like just typing the namespace in and switching into it. I don't know, but it's the thing that is most obvious to me. There's also in namespace, but I forget what that does. I wonder clojure.repl/doc in namespace sets the namespace to the namespace named by the symbol, creating it if needed. Okay. And then what's the doc entry for namespace? Ooh, it's a big one. Sets the namespace to the namespace named by name, unevaluated, creating it if needed. Right, sets the namespace to the namespace named by the symbol. In namespace stylo.chunk. Okay, symbol here is different than the name. So I have to do this. Okay, so what I don't understand is why in what situation would I use in namespace but not just use namespace like this? I don't know. I think it might be because namespace is like you're intended to use it for like at the top of your files to declare your dependencies and stuff like that. Like you require different parts of the code base. You can refer all when you're in Clojure, or you can refer specific functions from there or symbols. I wonder maybe this might be technically an abuse of that. Like it switches in the REPL, but maybe the intent is you use in namespace because it's specifically only going to move you into that namespace. I don't know. For right now, it doesn't matter. Find out difference / use case for in namespace and namespace. There. Now it's captured as a note. Perfect. What was I doing? Yes, I was going to check draw faces of extrude ASDF by 20. Error, of course. Don't know how to create a sequence from an integer. So, def fois. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Extrude ASDF by 20. Fois. Oh, what have I done? This is wrong. Here. The shape of the faces is wrong there. So, top faces vector that. Concatenate. If I do this, it'll work if I'm in the right namespace. In namespace stylo.chunk. Chunk. There we go. What am I doing? I don't need that. Okay, so now def fois as extrude ASDF 20 fois. Okay, faces. Wrong, still wrong. This is correct. This is not correct. Faces ASDF. So the faces, the bottom face needs to be this. It's accidentally getting turned into this, right? Because I have a typo somewhere. Ah, here, see? Faces. Now it should look correct. No, not quite. Almost. I am going to think about this for a minute, but first, bathroom break. Be right back. Gotta mute this. Gotta mute it. All right. Back at it. Okay, faces, still getting that nil value there, and that would be because of something. Let's pull faces from ASDF like this and have a look, right? So if am I not building? Okay, if I do this, map entity onto that, is that gonna work? Let's make a def ASDF of let's make it a polygon 2D of points. Right? Wrong. Oh. I'm not supposed to, oh, my watch is telling me to stand up. Actually, it is a good idea. Oh. This looks ridiculous, but it's actually good to get up and move around. You heard it here first. Okay. I'm thinking about this polygon extrude, or this polygon thing here. The difference between the nodes and edges and the faces is I had the nodes as a list of node entities, but I did not have the faces as a list of faces entities. I had it as just one map, not a list. So I'm trying to change that, but obviously I can't map it. I need to do into list or list. Maybe that'll work. Let's see. ASDF. Oh, of course. I'm being a little silly right now. Into. Let me just. No, okay. Let's get back to a baseline that makes sense, right? This entity. Now, if I wrap that with list like that, define ASDF and print it out. There we go. Now, you see this? This nodes here is a list of entities, which are just maps, right? You could tell it's in a list because it's got this open paren here and the closed one at the end. Edges, likewise, is a list that has the open paren and the closed. And now, since I popped this entity into a list here in the polygon function, now it too, even though there's only one face here, it also has that. So that should mean that things are going to work a little smoother now, right? So here in the extrude function, now B faces is going to have a list of a single face. Top faces is going to be yeah, so this is going to be just a list of a single length, a list containing a single thing. Same with top faces, it's just going to contain the single thing. And now I can concatenate. I'll do it this way, list, right, T faces. That should work. And we can find out if we go in namespace stylo.builder. We have to redefine fois as extrude of polygon 2D of points. Yeah. But of course, extrude needs the height value fois. So now it looks like we've got a properly formed nodes, edges, and faces lists here. Oh, this is in a vector. It doesn't need to be. Or they're all in vectors and they don't need to be. I think. Let's find out. Oh. Ugh. I'm juggling namespaces too much here. Stylo.chunk. Chunk. There we go. Woo-hoo-hoo. Another little thing with Emacs that I find sometimes confusing is I mix up similar keyboard shortcuts quite regularly. Like sometimes you have to hold Control and do a thing. Other times you have to hold Alt or Meta, I think, whatever it's called in Emacs. And I very often get those things mixed up, especially when I start thinking about it. You know, like when you're not thinking about it, you can go pretty quickly. But when you start to like think, oh wait, was it this or that? I always get it wrong. So I kind of think that's not an Emacs problem though. That's any program that has a bunch of shortcuts in it, right? It just takes a long time to get that muscle memory and get really, really confident with it. Okay, but now extrude ASDF. Forget that noise. I'm just going to see what happens if I do this. Save this. See if this errors out or does something. Okay, it did something. It did something wrong. Why is that? What did I think I messed something up. What could be going wrong? Oh, okay. So actually, so what I'm not gonna do right now, so it is drawing the top and bottom faces, but this bottom face, if I just delete the top one, see this node is that is not the right node to be drawing to. It should be drawing to this one here. So I have to figure out what went wrong there. Because at the very least, I should have a working but incomplete version of faces to build on, rather than a broken thing to fix, if I can. That'll take me a little bit of time. I'm a little slower today. Do you ever have that? There's just days where things are just like you're not working unproductively or anything, and you can still think through problems. It just, like, the CPU running up here is just taking a little longer for some reason. It kind of feels that way for me today. But just got to work with that. That won't be a problem. Okay, so faces, drawing faces. Chunk. Is points in chunk? It is. ASDF, is that in points? It is. Extrude ASDF by 20. ASDF. Okay, so face 1 is correctly from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I have actually one extra index here. Oh, and this is obviously wrong. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5. That's incorrect. Top faces. Right, of course. So the top indices is now working for the edge scenario, but it's not correct to turn that into a vector for the top faces. That doesn't make sense anymore. I need some other way to do that, right? So the total number of, or the indices of the edges starting to confuse myself a little bit, and that's never a good state to be in. Okay, so the edges that matter for the bottom face are indeed the first 0 through 5. 0 through 4 would actually be correct, right? Because I don't need a doubling of edges. So here, faces. I don't need to increment the count here for faces. Is that right? Right, so edges, I did the concat thing here, so it's the range of points and it has another 0 at the end. So then faces can just take, it doesn't need the increment here, the count of edges, and that should work. So def ASDF is polygon 2D of points. ASDF faces 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is right. And then the top face, when I extrude this, extrude ASDF by 20, the top face here is correctly 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but I don't need this 5 on there, right? So I could actually drop drop 1. Drop 1 takes the first off the vector. Drop last? No. How do you drop the last element in a vector? Oh, there might be a drop last function. Drop last. Oh, there is. 2, 3, 4. Should see a vector of 2, 3, or a list of 2, 3. Okay. Here, drop last of these should work. Okay. Now test this extrude again. Okay. So we have. Oh. I should swap the spot. I should make the vector vec here. Run that. Test it again for a moment. Right, so now this looks correct. The bottom face and the top face are pointing to the right edges. It should be. So save this so that it will tangle. And we'll go here, save this, and see if it works. So if it worked, I want to save this, not the web page. So if it works, this should pop down there. Yes, okay. All right. So now, since I don't want to do it right now, finish the faces for extrude, which means top and bottom faces are done. You need to add middle faces. So for the case of a triangle, right, there's 3 missing faces, yet I need this one that goes from this point to this point to this, this one here, and this one here. And I really need to, I need to figure out the smart way to do that, because I haven't thought of that yet. That's gonna be a problem for another day, because I think I mentioned this last time anyway, the draw faces thing, it results in graphics that don't actually make sense. Like, they don't render properly because they have they don't consider occlusion, right? So like this leg should be behind this tabletop and behind this tabletop, and so on. Like this is confusing. It doesn't make any sense, but it looks fine when I do draw edges, because then it looks like a wireframe. But the problem with wireframes, of course, is especially at isometric views, it can look ambiguous, right? It can be really confusing. Like, you can get sort of these optical illusions where if it's a box, like, you don't know if it's a cutout or an ad, and just it messes with your head too. So I do need to come up with a proper way to render out into SVG the appearance of things. So that means things like hidden line removal, which is hard. At least it's hard for me. I don't know how to do it yet. But hidden line removal will be stuff like this. So this desk top here should occlude this edge and this edge, right? But not this edge. The issue is, like, the naive thing is that this object is not really, it's behind this, but only sometimes, right? So you can run into weird things if all you do is just the ordering of the objects themselves. It won't necessarily show you the right thing. You need to cut edges at intersections and stuff like that. It's going to be a whole thing. So for right now, for this first design project I'm working on, I am halfway doing faces, but I'm really just going to use the wireframe method because I'll have a lot of 2D views anyway. So, but I digress. What I want to do now, actually, is think a little bit about the next little bit of design, which is going to be leg design. So the table legs will be, I wonder if you can see that. The table legs will be cut from 1/2" plywood, and I am going for a tab and slot connection, perhaps with some screws to hold things together. Ideally, the design is the table can be assembled, disassembled multiple times without breakage. This means no adhesives, right? So no adhesives. It would also mean bolts and nuts preferable over screws, as screws can mar the wood. But if you use a bolt, say you drill a hole through the plywood as part of the design, you have a bolt and a nut, you can put washers on either side and you can actually have the wood stay fine. So those are just some design notes. With that, here is the first cutout of several for the legs. So I'm just gonna draw just like, what am I even trying to do is a question I need to figure out. The first thing that comes to mind is something like this, and I'll show this sketch on the camera in a moment. Right, so wow, I'm so skilled at sketches. That's fine. Right, so this goes like that. I'll put this on the camera in just a second. Yeah, so this ends up there. So this is just the very first simplest thing that comes to mind. I have no idea if this is going to even make any sense, but we'll try it. So this is like the front view of what you would cut out. So it's just a tab and like an in-cut tab, and then this is supposed to be like a perspective thing, like they fit 90 degrees into each other, like teeth, basically, like that. And then you would put a screw or a bolt through these tabs. So this doesn't seem to me like the smartest design, but it's the first thing that came to mind. So I am thinking I'll make the point set to make one of these and then extrude it, and that'll probably be the last thing I do on the stream for today. But then at least I have the basis for something, right? So the very first thing I'm going to do is just make a rectangle and then extrude that, get that rendered, and then I can start adding the points and stuff like that. And I'm going to be using those global variable things that I added last time. Oh, got to switch the screen. I'm going to be using the globals here. So like global thickness matters, right? So does global height. Right, so I can begin from there. So with that, let's get the first cutout. First of all, does my markdown parser handle nested lists? I can't remember if that works or not. It would appear that there's some kind of error. There's something. Okay. Oh man, this diagram takes up way too much space. Let's make this 350. That's better. 300. these here, so this figure function is just a sort of helper for making an SVG in the document that takes this description here and pops it in a paragraph with formatting so that it looks like a figure declaration sort of thing. And then these values here, this is the width of the SVG and this is the height of the SVG, so that I'm just making it smaller to take up less vertical space in the document. I mean, it doesn't really matter because this is not going to be in there in the final thing. But anyway, it's still, if I can make things a little compact, I like that. So, does that work? Maybe it changed and I just missed it. Fine, that doesn't matter. Okay. Let's make an executable section. Another little aside here. Part of me thinks this is silly to make these opening and closing tags like that. It seems strange. Might be confusing to people. I had a thought of doing opening closing tags like this. I've even considered doing this, like as if they were HTML tags, but I'm not sure what actually, like, it doesn't technically matter, right? Like, it's just what is fine to type and makes sense to read. The reason I think this is maybe confusing is because I'm writing Lisp inside here, right? So you could lose track, like you could accidentally match this paren with something inside here and just confuse yourself. So I'm kind of wondering if I should change that up, which I'm going to add here. Better extension tag format. Extension, text, extension, or something like extension, right? And even there, it should have a closed, like, should it be exactly like HTML? I don't know. So that's unimportant. This here, now I can begin by doing, well, let's see here. We'll start by just directly copying this and working from there. Okay, leg sketch, polygon 2D, 0, 0. Okay, we do polygon 2D of this list of points, right? And these points are 2D, they're in X, Y, so they're nice and straightforward. There. And I need another one, right? So makes sense to start the first point as 0, 0. I want X to be the length, so it's going to be, the first rectangular point is going to be 0, that, and going to be global height minus the global thickness, and potentially 2 times the global thickness. No, we'll leave it that way, global height minus global thickness, right? So we've drawn this way. The next point is going to be actually the same, but the height, the Y value is going to be, here I'm going to make some let variables, leg width. Let's make it 2 inches, no, 3 inches. and the leg height, or just leave it at that. Oops, deleting stuff I don't need deleted. Okay, leg width. Here, 0 leg width is the last point, right? So it's actually pretty straightforward. That's the leg sketch, is a 2D polygon with these points. So far it's just a rectangle, but it's going to be more complex than that, obviously. And then this figure is going to draw edges with axes, and we're going to extrude by the global thickness the leg sketch. And I should see a rectangle if there's no errors. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so since it's cutting off the diagram a little bit here, I wonder if things are looking okay on the stream, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to solve that later. Dropped frames. Well, okay. I'm letting myself get off track. That does mean I'm running into time to call it quits soon. Not yet, but in a little bit. Okay, so what I'm saying here for a moment is I want to move this diagram up and in a little bit because it's getting chopped off here. Also, the shelf. This is placeholder text for when I design the shelf portion. Oh wait, I don't want to do that. I want to do something like this. Okay. Yeah, okay, perfect. So I can do scroll past. Right, so we're looking at this here. This is getting cut off. So I'm just going to move the diagram over a little bit with this move here. And in order to do that, simply, I'm just going to guess at numbers because it's straightforward right now. Well, let's only move it by 1. And let's move this over by 40. Okay, that looks not centered, but it looks good enough for now. Another thing, handle or have some form of auto center for 3D diagrams for 3D diagrams. Yeah. So that I'm not having to push this picture around all the time. That would make me happy. Okay, extrude. This is the leg side A design. I can always kind of tell when I am due for a break from work and thinking hard when I start to just fiddle around like this with things that just aren't important even a little bit. So all I'm going to do right now is figure out a few more points to add to this so that I get those knockout sections. So the knockout depth is actually just going to be GT, which is the global thickness, so I don't need to add a variable for that. But the knockout height is going to be KH, and that's going to be, I'm going to guess 10. I could also make it, leg width. I'm going to make it a local here, leg length, which is global height minus global thickness, right? So GH, G thickness, and put that here, LL, oop. And then the K height, I want to be a quarter of the length here. The knockout, the cutout height, knockout height, cut H there. Leg, let's be less terse here. Leg width, leg length. Because I'm going to confuse myself like crazy looking back at this. Right, so yeah, leg width, leg length, cut H, couth is not going to be 10, it's actually going to be div leg L by 4, right? And here I could make this 2 times GH. And then excuse me, pardon me. So the cutout is, instead of going from 0, 0 all the way to the end, all the full way, before you get to the leg length end, you need to make one cutout at cut H 0, and then and then copy cut H GT, and then 2 times cut H cut H 0, right? So you went from 0, 0 to the cut height 0 to the cut height by T, 2 times the cut height T, and 0 back down, and then 3 times cut H at 0, then 3 times cut H at GT, right, and then leg L at GT, leg L at 0. I think that'll work. Okay, if there's anyone watching that, I know watching me think about drawing points without seeing points is very confusing. I also don't know if I did it right. This is one flaw with this method of doing design work. Like, I love thinking very abstractly through physical design work like this, but it's super confusing to have this, right? Like, it would make way more sense to have live feedback so you can see where your cursor is, or it'd be way cooler even to have, like, you could click and move points in the space here and see the numbers update. So, like, I don't have it yet. I know it's a hard problem to solve, but I would love a tighter link between this and between my code, which is there, and the rendered document, which is up there. That's a bit of a pipe dream. Like I'll get there eventually. The idea is, as I'm making design ideas, this library that I'm using will get more and more refined and sophisticated, because this is confusing. Also, it caused an error. I believe it didn't work. So I have to see what's up. What did I do wrong? Leg width. Oh, did I forget leg L? Here. Leg width. That should maybe not error anymore. Yeah, okay. So we almost did it right. I almost did it right. Not quite. Okay, oop. Right, so this here, from 0 to cut height 0 is this section. And then cut height to global thickness is this jog in. And then the cut height is there again, and then you jog it back down to 0, cut height, jog it back up to the thickness, and then jog to the end here. And this is where I made a mistake. This is wrong. I don't need this, right? Because that accidentally drew an extra line down. Yes, actually that's correct. Don't need that. That should solve the problem, I think. Yeah, perfect. Right, so this leg sketch and this leg piece, the way it's designed, ooh, I wonder, I'm gonna quickly, a brief aside here, this draw edges function has baked into it a transform that turns this isometric. I wonder if I could just have a 2D transform so that you only see the 2D projection of it. Let me go into the draw section here. Chunk, draw edges. Let's just be lazy and do draw edges 2D. Draw edges 2D. Row is, I actually don't need to do rotate at all. Row is row, right? So row is render object, I think is what I wanted to call that. So if instead of this whole thing I just do row is row, I think that'll be what I want it to be. I'm gonna check that out. Draw edges dash 2D, save, and see what happens. Hey, it did what I wanted it to. Okay, so that's actually, I'm proud of that. Let me go ahead and move these things to 1, 1. I think 1, 1 will make sense. It should pop it this way. Yeah. Right, so this design, which is just a placeholder technically, the idea is I could make 2 of these, right? So you cut out 2, you take the second one and you flip it over, put it 90 degrees and insert it into the first set, right? So you can imagine two of these at a 90-degree fitting right in on there. So that's the idea there. I should get going soon. Let me just capture this here. Add conditions or some form of what would you call that? Orientation options for the draw edges and draw faces functions. Eventually add a figure, add a drawing set figure function that automatically produces a front, right, top, and ISO multi-view for 3D objects passed into the function. This is meant to provide nice CAD style views of things. It may even be fairly simple to have this set of function, this function, to use this function to build a DXF exporter. I don't know. All I'm saying is, so here, right, there's, if I inspect this element, where'd it go? If I inspect this SVG contains groups, and it's a bit messy, but it contains a bunch of polylines of shapes, right? So it actually contains all the polylines for 3D stuff, but if I were to handle, actually here, make sure it handles culling of objects not in the view. This means projecting the 3D shape onto the proper plane and only displaying those elements, those entities which are properly visible in that plane. Right, all that means is, so here, if you look, if I delete this, there's still a line there. If I delete this, there's still going to be a line there because one of the lines is the top part of the piece of wood and one line is the bottom, right? The SVG is like, it's just drawing lines over top of itself. So obviously if you have a huge document with a lot of drawings, you're going to just fill your file with a ton of objects that just are never visible at all, and you could just make a big huge mess. So I have to build in functions that do that. But the cool thing is too, like, there are already tools, command line tools and stuff that can convert SVG into DXF files. So presumably it's not too hard to take the stuff I have working now and make it spit out DXF files, which can then actually go to like a CNC shop or something and build things, which would be really cool. See, like, I'm deleting a bunch of things kind of at random, and you can still kind of see like the whole shape is still there, right? And I've deleted a bunch of things, right? So obviously, why is that? Oh, don't know what's that all about. Let's see if I can actually make lines disappear properly. So very clearly, there we go. Now finally I've deleted both the top and bottom line there, right? So an obvious thing to do, so this here, that's a line that's pointing straight up into the camera, so it looks like a dot. That's something you don't need there either. I'm also fairly certain I probably have like a bunch of nodes in SVG and in HTML that contain no data, so they're just technically errors in my hiccup in the step where I'm compiling to hiccup. I'm making assumptions about lists and stuff like that that just don't make sense. But the point is, I have a semi-working extrude function that I can use to take 2D shapes now. Not curved shapes, but I can add curves soon. Maybe next. Circles. This implies that to render these the simple way, do what's that called? Triangulate / approximate curves with straight polyline sections. Yeah, so maybe I can do that tomorrow. Well, all it means is, imagine I had as part of the design, I wanted a radius cut on this piece here. I currently only have the ability with the library I have to make straight line SVG shapes, which is fine. Like you can map easily, but if I want to triangulate curves, I could make it look curved, but it'll be made out of straight segments. So maybe I can add that tomorrow. I'll see. But for right now, I am actually going to get going because the stuff I want to work on next is going to be really boring to put on the stream anyway. It's just going to be me sitting like this, reading stuff and thinking. So probably that's better for me to do off stream. So I'm going to get going. I had a really fun time again today, and I'm going to be back tomorrow. All right.